Muslim NBA player Enes Kanter calls out China on Uyghur genocide. During the game against the Charlotte Hornets on October 25th, Boston Celtics player Enes Kanter blasted Nike over its use of Chinese labor, specifically Uyghur slave labor. Kanter is one of the most prominent Muslim NBA players in the league. He wore personalized shoes with the phrases, quote, made with slave labor, modern day slaves, no more excuses, and hypocrite Nike painted visibly on the sides. In a Twitter video, he addressed Nike directly, highlighting that the company has been very keen to talk about racial injustices in the United States, but has remained silent regarding China's treatment of their Muslim minority ethnic groups, such as the Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and Tajiks. Nike has not released any official statement in response to Kanter's video. On the other hand, China banned all broadcasts of any Boston Celtics games while keeping other NBA broadcasts available. So this is a huge story. Like, I don't know if people appreciate how big of a story this is. This is a story that has hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, both for Enes personally and his career as a professional athlete, but also for the entire NBA league at large. Enes is a Swiss-born Turkish guy, and I have been playing for the NBA for a really long time now. I mean,
a Muslim, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's Muslim.
Yeah.
So you guys, we support this guy's activism because just because we're against Islam, we don't, that doesn't mean that we can't have a common goal with somebody that believes in Islam, right? We constantly crap on Islam, but on this, we're united with Muslims who are against China's, tyranny. So yes, this is really good. We support this. In fact, once you're done, I'm going to show some of the shoes. But go on.
Yes, that's what I wanted to do too. So I think this is really, really important on so many different levels. One, if it's important to understand the background of this, to understand the significance, right? So I believe it was last year, the general manager of the Houston Rockets, which is an NBA team, obviously in Houston, tweeted a tweet in support of freedom for Hong Kong. Basically something along the lines of like, don't be silent, like stand up for freedom in Hong Kong. And this caused huge repercussions for the NBA. The NBA has a giant, almost like incomprehensibly for me, like large audience in China. Millions and millions, over $1 billion invested in this market, getting from this market. The numbers of the viewers that they pull in are astronomical. And this is actually, I'm not going to get into that detail right now, but the fact that it was the Houston Rockets was the team that this happened with is itself very significant. So this caused huge backlash from the Chinese government and then also from the NBA itself. The general manager had to delete this tweet. He had to make an apology. Even just like the random team members of the Houston Rockets,
which is
had to,
insane. The fact that China has so much power that all these like business tycoons in the United States will have to bow down, be like, "We're sorry, China. We're not going to let any of our players to even criticize you, even mildly, even suggesting that you're doing anything wrong." Like, think about. Like China recently discovered that the fact that it doesn't have just the largest amount of workers in the world, it also has the largest amount of consumers in the world. And because it has, the people are buying stuff from in China. China used to just sell things, mostly was responsible for selling to the world. But now the power that it has is that it's also the main buyer. And like, I'm going to use this as a political tool. And this one guy, Enes guy, is that his, like, how do you say his name? Is now making it like, now that is showing that you don't get to do that, China, in the free world. This is going to backfire. Like, imagine like big giant organizations like Nike and NBA, they wanted to be like, okay, we're buying down to China. And then you have one player like, I'm going to make this hell for all of you. I'm going to make this hell for China, Chinese government. I'm going to make this hell for Nike, and I'm going to make this hell for the NBA. This is the difference between Western country and China. As much as we criticize Western countries, the fact that one individual gets to cause so much hassle for giant multi-billion-dollar companies, and nobody can do anything. This is not China. You can't silence this guy. You can't make this guy disappear. You can't scare his family to shut up. He gets to do all of this, and the world's biggest billions of dollars are at play here and could be lost because of this guy's thoughts and what he's saying, and nobody can do anything about it. But you know why? You know why he can do that? Because he's free. This is what you get when you have freedom in a country. So a concept that China is not very familiar with. This is how one guy gets to intimidate billion-dollar companies in the United States, because we have freedom in the United States and you don't have that in China. Okay, and China needs to realize that these kind of silencing and intimidating games are not going to work in free countries. Eventually, it's going to backfire. Go on.
So I just want to talk about like some other reasons why this is significant. So partially because when the incident happened back with the Houston Rockets, China took a very offensive approach. Like I can't remember exactly, but I think they're basically like threatening to just like pull everything. And there was a big reaction.
Do it.
There was a huge reaction because of this from the league. And what's different this time is that they're handling it a little bit more quietly. They're just pulling the games from this particular team. They're blocking any mention of this at all everywhere, and they have to pull the actual games itself because he's wearing these shoes onto the court.
More players should wear it. Other games, guys, go buy this man's shoes so that more players, like, I can make some money out of this. Like, like, it's a different, guys. This is a wealth transfer from the NBA to the players themselves. The NBA would lose money, but the players could make money by selling the shoes. Okay, so go buy it. So like, make China have to censor all of the games, guys. Chinese people love these games. Okay, if you want to make the Chinese people turn against the CCP in China, make them censor all of these games. You can't censor everything. Eventually you would have to, guys, if more people support companies, companies or players or celebrities that take these anti-China thing, then eventually China has to do what? Censor all of Disney, censor all of NBA, censor all of everything. What if Apple one day comes at them like, oh, this is like, we're going to go to Vietnam instead of China because, I don't know, you guys, this is slavery. Okay, like, Chinese people, they love their Apple products. Like eventually, like, imagine if Apple makes it. Again, I'm not saying these companies care for, like, companies be companies, right? They care about profits, right? But again, if it's within their interest to raise a stink because you guys demanded it, eventually as much as big of a consumer base China is, what's the bigger consumer base in China's market? Is the American market. Okay, so the American consumer, if the American consumer becomes conscious enough to care about the products that are consuming, eventually it's between which consumers you care about the most. And again, Americans have more money. But go on.
Well, just to be clear, he isn't selling these shoes, but it's really.
He should.
Huh?
He should. Okay, but go.
Okay. So obviously there is a sense of like the personal risk to him in his career. This could make big corporations that could theoretically, sign like very lucrative sponsorship deals with him, maybe not willing to sign these deals with him because they might have business affiliations in China, so this is coming at a personal cost to him. I think it's also significant because he is ethnically Turkish, and he's actually had some scuffles with the Erdogan government. And this is particularly important because the Uyghurs are a Turkic ethnic minority, right? So theoretically, you would think that they'd be able to get support from the other Turkic ethnic groups that are west of China. That's actually not the case, because in many of these countries are kind of like client states of China, and even Turkey, which has for a long time been the safest place that these people could escape to, is actually starting to deport people back to China. And Uyghurs previously used to be able to gain citizenship in Turkey a lot easier, and that process is becoming more and more difficult as the situation in Xinjiang has gotten more restrictive. And so I thought that was an interesting flavor to the story. And I want to show more pictures of the other shoes that he's done, because he doesn't just talk about the Uyghur genocide. He talks about a lot of other
Tibet.
issues
We
that are
talked
going
about
on in China.
Tibet as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, show the shoes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to. Wait, let me pull
Oh,
this
you
up.
want me to? You want me to? I
No, I
have
have
it
it
ready if you
actually
want.
ready right here. Okay.
Wait, I really thought he's selling them. Why is he not selling them? The Winnie the Oh, actually, he can't sell the Winnie the Pooh one because Winnie the Pooh is trademarked.
Well, and he might not be able to sell them at all, especially the Nike shoes, because of there's been issues with artists trying to do that before in the past. So,
well, yeah, the one that says Nike, you can't sell that because Nike is trademarked. The one with the Winnie the Pooh, you can't sell that because Winnie the Pooh is trademarked. But the other ones you can. Oh, the Olympic ones, you can. Okay, go on.
So he's just been going on an absolute tear recently. Here is a video he made about Tibet, and then he has free Tibet shoes. And what I think is really cool is he hires like local, well, maybe not local, but basically like diaspora artists to make these shoes. So he got like Tibetan artists to make his free Tibet shoes. He got Chinese dissident to make his Hong Kong shoes.
The Winnie the Pooh one that I want to see at the Tiananmen Square.
Yeah, so here we have
that one. Oh my god, that's perfect. You know, I hope people know here that Winnie the Pooh, the significance of that.
Free China. Well, can you explain to them the significance of the Winnie
the
Pooh?
That's Xi. Some people suggested that he looks like Winnie the Pooh, and ever since Winnie the Pooh became illegal in China as and therefore obviously that had everybody loved the fact that they were sensitive about Winnie the Pooh, and they now ever since they just made him associated with people talk about like there's censors, like there's in China, within China there were censors, like you couldn't even search for Winnie the Pooh, or you could, like in chats, if you wrote Winnie the Pooh, that would be like censored, that would be like flagged or whatever. So people try to use other ways to like talk about honey and honeypot and other ways to refer to it, because the more sensitive you are about it, obviously the more people would want to use it as a anyways.
So here you can actually see him wearing the shoes on the court.
Yeah, no more excuses. Modern day slavery. Hypocrite Nike. I like the hypocrite Nike one. Guys, there needs to be a cost associated with you supporting modern day concentration camps. Like,
yeah,
guys,
so he has shoes that are against the 2022 Olympic Games in China.
Yeah.
And here
consumerism is so strong. I think like this, what I think is like people who are like, oh, consumerism is bad. I honestly think the only way to tackle consumerism that ends up funding evil stuff is to fight it back with consumerism. The only way is to fight fire with fire, like to tackle it with a different form of consumerism that that brings awareness to horrible stuff or tries to fight back against it. Like there's no other way, you know what I mean? Like it's too powerful of a force for you to be like, like, oh, we need to end consumerism because it's like supporting this and supporting that. Well, maybe change the consumerism in a different direction. Like this guy, I wish he was selling these. Like, why can't you buy these? Like, why can't, like, some of them at least?
I don't know.
Why is he not selling? What is he doing? He's just showing them. Why can't
Well,
he have a
yeah,
like?
that itself is causing a huge ruckus. But I wanted to
Yeah,
talk about this. Um,
yeah, okay.
so after he's been like taking these stands so publicly, a lot of people have been showing up to his games to support him. And honestly, like this makes me kind of emotional. So here we see like all these people lined up, and on their shirts it says "We Heart Cantor," and they're holding the Tibetan flag. And then you see people holding the same signs, except this time they're holding the Uyghur flag. And then on the people who are wearing shirts, they turned around and it says "Free Tibet." And then was it today? Yeah, today he posted this video of him giving a speech at Washington D.C. about why is it freezing? About all the different issues going on in China, but specifically the Uyghur genocide. And it okay, if this wasn't freezing, which is so annoying, you could see that there's like kind of this older woman who comes up and gives him this scarf, and she like ties it around his neck, and she like won't stop trying to hug him and thank him. And I don't know, it made me emotional because like for
Refresh it.
yeah, for these people, like, I mean, I'm not trying to generalize, but they really don't get a lot of the attention that they should.
Hmm.
And I can imagine how much it means to actually have someone with this much of an audience, with this much on the line, and the fact he's in the center of these huge relationships regarding, the NBA in China, and at the center of it all, and having seizing that opportunity to take that stand and to talk about this and have probably like millions of people hear about this for the first time because of him. I don't know. I feel like I can just tell how much it means to a lot of the people who have voiced their support to him. And I like how he went about it in such a creative way. And I think we've seen across the world, like so many Islamic countries or Muslim majority countries fail to stand up and support the Uyghurs. While obviously, like the idea of the kind of like this religious unification over protecting the people of Palestine is globally so strong. And compared to um the reaction to what's happening in Xinjiang, like it can often feel so disappointing. But because so many of these Muslim majority countries have, obviously it's like on a national policy level, um, even endorsed what China is doing, it's up to individual people, like individual Muslims, to actually, take a position on this and speak out against it. Um, so I think he's doing a cool thing.
I want to highlight a comment and just let me talk about this for a second, okay?
Yeah.
Uh, so Sunny's saying the irony of a Muslim complaining against the Chinese. Has he read his book? This is such a dumb and idiotic comment, okay, Sunny? Obviously, he doesn't have those values. Like your attitude towards who, like, do you understand that a huge chunk of this planet is Muslim and Christian, and if you want to consider them to be hypocrites because they endorse books that have views that might be in line with the authoritarian nature of the Chinese, then we can't work with and also Hindus. We can't work with anybody to make anything happen. Okay, we have this is such a destructive, like, look at somebody actually doing something. This guy is doing something that you are not, Sunny. He is like doing, the fact that if I have to choose between Muslims who maybe we have a disagreement with, and they don't maybe think that their books represent something good and peaceful, and we completely disagree, and we think that maybe they don't understand their own religion because they are not very familiar with their own books and hadith. That's a disagreement we have with them, but that takes like a back seat compared to the fact that this guy is actually doing something and bringing attention. He's actually doing something, while you just talk. And you're, compared, like, if I had to choose between a Muslim that is doing something to make the world better but has views that I disagree with, compared to an atheist who have views that I agree with but is not doing crap about anything, I pick the Muslim. I would pick the Christian. I would pick the Hindu. They're so much superior to you and your way of thinking. They can't even work with people because of the disagreements that we have. Okay, guys, Islam itself has views that are completely destructive, but the Muslims who are better than Islam, who don't have those standards, don't have those values, the vast majority of Muslims are way superior than Islam. Their values are more in line with what we think is healthy for a society. Yes, we have that disagreement with them. We think that they think that their views and values are Islamic. We think no. We think they're better. We think they are better than Islam. That disagreement is insignificant compared to what we need to move everything forward. Okay, I consider this guy an ally against the evil that is the CCP. I'm not going to let our disagreement over Islam hold us back. I'm not going to shut up about Islam. I'm still going to point out how bad and evil Islam is, but I'm not going to let that disagreement make us up. Like, how are we how much of the planet is atheist? You think we could get anything done without uniting with other people? You're going to let these disagreements stop you from working with other people? Like, how idiotic, how stupid this kind of line of thinking has to be. Like, the irony of a Muslim campaigning against the Chinese. Has he read his own book? The irony of an atheist just sitting back. Let me finish. The irony of an atheist sitting back and commenting on a YouTube live stream, thinking that he's accomplishing anything, criticizing somebody that is actually doing something. The irony of somebody that is doing nothing complaining about somebody that is actually doing something far beyond anything you're going to do in your life to make anything happen, Sunny. Like, that's the irony. You think you get to complain. He's doing something. Go on, Susie.
Well, I particularly hate that statement because it's like it's essentializing him to the Quran. Like, it's essentializing him to that book. No one's like that. You know, like, you can't just reduce a person to their scripture.
Yeah, and also I am saying, atheists have got only atheists have got only one answer right. Yeah, you guys think you're so you think you're so right about everything. We got one answer correct. One answer. Is there a God? Is there any evidence for the existence of God? No. Do you think that makes you high and mighty above everybody else on everything else? Okay. No, like a Muslim and a Christian have got the answer to is Islam true or is Christianity true or if there is a God. They got those answers wrong. We agree. They got those answers wrong. But when it comes to other things, they might be above you. Okay. When it comes to them doing something about China or doing something about some other injustice in the world, they might be above many atheists because they're doing something and you're not. What did you see? You want to highlight something, Sis?
Secular Rarity made me laugh, saying, LOL, Susanna waiting patiently for Armin to stop yelling so she can start yelling. Wait, that's like, I need to write this down. That's basically the definition of this show.
Yeah. Wait, what was I not listening?
I'm not sure. But
what are you talking about, secularity? You can't turn me and Susanna against each other. That's not gonna work. I don't know what you're doing.
The last thing that I wanted to say about this news is that I'm disappointed that this hasn't been covered more widely in like more left-leaning mainstream media. It basically hasn't been covered at all. And that has given it the opportunity for this to become a right-wing issue. When I was looking for videos covering this story, like online, I was looking on YouTube, and pretty much the only people talking about this news was either right-wing conservatives or tankies who hate this guy and just make fun of him for taking these positions, you know? And I'm really disappointed with left-leaning media for not jumping in and supporting stuff like this. It's taking a stand. It's doing it very creatively. Maybe it would highlight their own hypocrisy too much. I don't know.
Okay, one thing I keep saying, especially among left-leaning audience when it comes to this, so they're left-leaning. They're either, some of them, the fringe group of them are tankies who are not just ignoring this; they're actually actively defending the CCP, which is okay. So leave those people aside; those people are insane. But there's a whole bunch of other more mainstream leftists, because the tankies don't represent most of the leftists. But the problem I have with mainstream lefties people, not all of them, but a lot of them, is that every time you bring up China and the things that they're doing, what the number one thing that I hear as a comeback is, but United States also. But United States also, like God, these are the people who are familiar with the concept of whataboutism, and yet every time you talk about human rights violations that China is involved in, I should say the CCP, not China, the CCP is involved in, they're like, well, our government also, oh yeah, okay, we will talk about the human rights violations of Western countries when that is the topic. Can you shut up for half a second when we're trying to highlight these specific human rights violations right here, right now? Can you give it a rest for a minute? We will dedicate the time that we need to bring up the human rights violations of a country like United States. We will have a dedicated time for that. We have brought attention to it many times here, for example, on this channel, especially for the war crimes that United States is responsible for in Yemen. But why is it that every time this knee-jerk reaction, this constant distracting tactics that some of leftist people have, when we, like, you keep saying like, yeah, China bad, but this but that comes at the end of this is heavily suggesting to me that you don't want to talk about the evils of China, because you don't do that when we talk about the evils of United States, do you? Okay, when was the last time you heard a lefty say, like when we, for example, say United States has committed war crimes in Yemen, and their support of Saudi Arabia in killing civilians and children and hospitals and schools and all of that? We say that. When was it that a lefty came out and said, yeah, United States does war crimes, but, like, what do you hear that? Do you hear that, like, they say, but China, but Iran, but Saudi Arabia, they don't do that. They don't do that. Why is it that it goes only the one way and not the other way around? I don't understand. Somebody explain that to me. Anyways.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's super frustrating. And like I said, I hate that they're basically just letting the right have this position. This shouldn't be something that is politicized as a right-wing position.
Yeah, the problem, okay, hashtag not all, I'm not talking about all right-leaning people, but the problem is that the left should own this. The left was supposed to be the champions of, oppressed groups, okay? We shouldn't let the right-leaning people be anti-CCP, because the right-leaning people, a lot of them are not anti-CCP. They're anti-Chinese people because they're xenophobic, okay? So don't let right-leaning people monopolize this, because they're not actually interested in helping oppressed people. They're just anti-foreigners, okay? Again, not all, but that's, come on, right? The right-leaning people who are not xenophobes, if they're not admitting that a lot of them are xenophobes, then you're part of the problem, even if you personally are not one of them, okay? But again, this is supposed to be a left-leaning issue, but again, yeah.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of Blasphemy and Sexy Callie, like me, then you need to be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below. because if you subscribe, we will send you a free copy of our Blasphemous Art ebook. And let me tell you, it is the tastiest blasphemy that you can find anywhere available today. And we are so generous with our blasphemy that we continue to send you more blasphemy every week. So make sure to subscribe. Link in the description below.